Once upon a time, there was a young man whose parents raised him up from a young age. People used to call him Orphan. The older Ori becomes, the stronger he becomes. Having no fields or gardens, he exchanged his strength for 2 meals a day. Seeing that he was diligent and kind, the elders, daughters and children all loved him. On days of heavy rain and wind, when he could n and #39 go to work, the girls invited each other to bring rice to his house to help. Seeing that, a few young men in the village felt jealous. They tried to harm Orphan. One day, Orphan got sick. The village boys gathered around and beat him until he had a broken face and forehead while he and a village girl were returning from work in the fields. He had pain all over his body, and he lay down for several days without regaining his strength. Seeing that the boys hated him, he ran to the neighboring village to work as a laborer to support himself. But not long after arriving in this village, he was invited by the village boys to cause trouble and beat him. Mo Koi had to leave this village again. This time he planned to go looking for food in a remote place. He walked for 3 days in a row, arriving at a small village along the edge of a remote forest. He entered a rich man and number 39's house and asked to live as a tenant. The rich man saw that Mo Koi was healthy and agile, so he immediately agreed to give him the job of picking canarium. But when he looked at the vast mangrove forest, every tree was as big as 2 or 3 people holding it and so high up into the sky. Mo Koi shook his head, sticking out his tongue. The rich man sweetly coaxed him and promised to pay him back. Pay for 500 taels of silver. He also showed how to build bamboo ladders to climb. Climbing is extremely difficult and dangerous. But because he saw that the rich man treated him well, Mo Koi did not spare any effort. From then on, every day he climbed the ladder to the top of the canarium tree, holding a pole to quickly drop bunches of ripe canarium trees to the ground. The rich man, his wife and daughter freely gathered and brought them to the market to sell. A month and a half passed. With a pole and a ladder, Mo Koi climbed one bamboo tree after another. The rich man also collected money after money. That day, Mo Koi climbed to the 200th and last bamboo tree. Realizing that he was about to pay Mo Koi more than 500 taels of silver, the rich man called his wife to discuss the plan. That morning, the rich man and his wife woke up at the rooster and number 39's crow and ordered their children to cook a meal for Mo Koi. After finishing the meal, Mo Koi followed the rich man and number 39's family to carry the pole to the mangrove forest. After Mo Koi climbed to the top of the tree, at the bottom, the rich man ordered his son to take the bamboo ladder and go home, even though Mo Koi was screaming loudly from above. He tried to find a way to get down, but after struggling for half an hour, he could n and #39 find any way. The body is straight and as big as 2 people, unable to hold on anywhere to get down. So from then on, he had to live on top of the canarium tree like a monkey. Hungry, he had to pick canarium fruit and eat it raw. Thirsty, he licked every drop of night dew on each leaf. Night or day, he did not dare to sleep soundly. After eating all the canarium, he had to eat the leaves. After eating all the leaves, he had to eat the peel. One morning, when the sun was shining, Mo Koi took off her blouse and hung it on a branch in front of her. Meanwhile, a black bear passed under the tree. Seeing Mo Koi and #39's shirt. He thought it was a beehive, so he climbed up to eat honey. The bear came to the shirt, eyes half closed to avoid being stung by bees as was his habit, then leaned out and grabbed the shirt, chewing it voraciously. Seeing that, a new bold thought appeared in Mo Koi and #39's mind. Just as the bear closed both eyes and was engrossed in chewing his shirt, Mo Koi gently got down and rode right on the bear and number 39's back, holding his neck tightly with both hands. Bear was suddenly hugged, panicked but did not dare to let go, so he had to carry Mo Koi down to the base. When the bear was still 2 or 3 fathoms from the ground, Mo Koi quickly jumped to the ground and ran away. Bear also ran after Orphan. Ori ran as hard as she could into the forest. Suddenly there was a deep cave blocking his way. He had to jump into the cave. The bear did not dare to jump into the orphanage and thus escaped. But from here, he fell into a difficult and dangerous situation in the dark cave. He had to grope each step to find a way out. He walked forever in the cave, but wherever he went, he found it pitch black. Around him there were only bats flying back and forth. They flew over his head, tearing out every strand of hair. Every piece of my heart. So many days in the cave, I had to endure such torture. Even so, he tried to weave his way to the end of this cave, then wandered to the other root of the cave, hoping to find a way out. Suddenly one day he came to a place where a ray of light entered his eyes. He was happy and sniffled. But later he realized that it was just a hole in the sky, not a cave entrance. However, he still tried to hold on to the cliff and climb up to get out. But his strength was very weak. He climbed 5 or 7 times to a few arm lengths, then fell back to the same place. One day, while lying unconscious in the cave, he saw an old man with white hair, holding an axe and a magic stone approaching. The old man said, "I am the mountain god. I saw you suffering so much, so I came to save you. I will give you an axe. It will give you food to eat and clothes to wear. I give you this. If you grind an axe on this stone, the blade will be sharp. When you rub this stone into your skin will become white and beautiful. Finally, I will give you a pill that will give you the health to overcome the cave." Having finished speaking, the mountain god walked away with his cane. Mo Koi woke up, picked up the pill and put it in her mouth. Suddenly I felt strangely relieved. He put the axe and stone on his belt, then climbed up the wall straight to another opening. Unlike previous times, this time he climbed quickly. In just a moment he reached the vent and saw light outside. He closed his eyes for a moment and then swung himself out of the cave. He walked through the forest. It was past noon. When he reached the bank of a river, he walked along the bank and followed the stream. After walking a short distance, he met an old man. Seeing Mo Koi and #39's hideous face, no hair left on his head, rough skin, broken ears, torn clothes, the old man ran away from Mo Koi and chased her. Theo told him all his hardships. The old man told him to help him cut wood and clear the fields and then take him home. Mo Koi immediately took the axe and sharpened it on the magic stone. The axe became very sharp, and in just one moment he was able to chop a pile of firewood that filled an entire house. That night, he stayed at the old man and number 39's house. The old man had 6 daughters. All 6 girls were of marriageable age. Seeing their father bringing home a hideous boy, the daughters, except the youngest, all avoided the radiation. They told their father to kick them out of the house immediately. The old man had to scold the girls forever before they would shut up. Finally, the girls told their father to let Ori live in a tent in the fields so that he could clear more fields while watching the rice. Every day, the girls would take turns bringing food, starting with the oldest girl. To avoid encountering Mo Koi, the eldest girl hung a snare on a tree stump at the beginning of the ditch about 100 steps away from the tent. She knocked the bell 3 times, then placed the rice at the base of the tree and called Mo Koi to come and get the rice to eat. Then he turned back home, regardless of whether Ori heard or not. The next 4 younger sisters, in turn, also imitated their older sister. Only the youngest girl had her turn to deliver the rice. She did not leave the rice ball under the tree, nor did she knock on the bell like her sisters, but went into the tent and handed it directly to the orphan. While Mo Koi ate, she sat down to ask about his health, hometown, and family. She deliberately waited for Ori to finish eating before going home. Since the day he left the tent, Mo Koi has been working as the old man told him to. Every morning he sharpened his axe to cut more trees. Every afternoon he went to the stream to bathe, took the magic stone into his body, and sure enough, his skin gradually became rosier and more beautiful than before. After a while, he did not see the youngest girl come to bring him food. Suddenly feeling sad and nostalgic, he thought that the youngest sister also imitated her sisters by placing rice balls under the tree, then hurriedly returned home, not knowing that the youngest sister was busy going to her aunt and number 39's house in the next village. 3 months later, the youngest girl returned to her father and number 39's house. She brought food into the tent for Orphan again, but she didn't and #39 see the ugly orphan every day, only a young man with a bright face, rosy skin, and neat hair. She was surprised and quickly asks, "Who are you? Where did he come from? Do you know that Orphan who had both of his hands eaten and all of his hair torn out before he used to take care of this hut?" I know that the youngest girl doesn't and #39 recognize me anymore because I asked her to change a lot. But Mo Koi just nodded to greet the youngest girl, without saying anything. The youngest girl asked 2 or 3 times, but he just smiled and didn't and #39 say a word. Seeing that, the youngest girl put the rice ball on the floor, turned to the door, looked towards the forest, and called Mo Koi. She called 2 or 3 times, still no answer. After calling, the youngest girl went down the stairs and into the forest. She searched all 4 corners and howled, but still could N and #39 find her. She had to run all the way home. The next day, it was the eldest aunt and number 39's turn to deliver food. The youngest girl asked to go instead. She planned to find the new orphan today, but she only saw the white guy that night. She asked but the guy just smiled in response and didn't and #39 say anything. She put the rice ball on the floor and turned away. I intend to go into the forest to search. This time, Mo Koi could N and #39 keep silent. Any more, he said, youngest aunt. You Don and number 39 have to search anymore. Please forgive me for making you waste your time searching. Now I know all about your heart for me. I am the orphan who lost his ears and hair the other day." The youngest girl turned around, very surprised. She said, "Is that you? Why did he change like this?" Orphan happily replied, "Youngest aunt, thanks to this magic stone, I have gradually returned to being healthy like this." Then he told the youngest girl what he had done in the past. From that day on, every day the youngest sister went to the fields to bring food for her sisters, and the sisters loved it without asking why. Only the old man was a bit surprised. One day he sneaked along to see what was going on. Hiding in the bushes, the old man did not see the ugly orphan from before, but only saw a beautiful young man, talking and laughing with his youngest daughter. Waiting for his son to return, the old man went into the tent and asked who the boy was. After hearing the story, the old man realized that the young man was the orphan who had lost his ears and hair. That evening, the old man called all 6 daughters together and asked, "The orphan has been with me for a long time. He works very hard and works very well. As soon as my father went to the fields to look, he saw that he alone not only took good care of the rice fields and cornfields, but also cut down trees, and had a lot of fields. Therefore, my father loved me very much, and wanted to pick him up to work. My son-in-law, is there anyone willing to marry him?" Hearing what their father said, the 5 older sisters looked at each other and spat loudly, and all replied, "Mom and Dad, Don and number 39. Think like that. We will never waste our youth, committing ourselves to being the wife of a guy who is not human, not a ghost." The old man asked the youngest girl. She blushed and replied, "If your parents want to marry you, I will also say yes." The old man looked at his wife, then looked at his youngest daughter and said kindly, "So tomorrow, we will prepare for the wedding ceremony for our youngest daughter." The next morning, the old man and number 39's whole family will prepare for the wedding ceremony for our youngest daughter. All relatives and neighbors were very surprised. They whispered to each other, "The old man is so clever. Why did he marry the young, beautiful and gentle youngest daughter to that ugly guy?" But the groom and number 39's reception did something for all of them, the villagers, as well as the 5 young ladies. She was both very surprised and jealous. Walking next to the youngest girl is not the ugly orphan, but a handsome young man, with a muscular physique, rosy skin, bright face, neat hair, and famous for cutting down trees and farming very well. Strong. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.